We are on the weekly Torah portion. Please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, comment on it, right? Like it, whatever it takes to get a high in the status, on the rankings of your YouTube page. That way you'll never miss this class. Okay, we're starting the weekly Torah portion, Portion-Beha'alotcha. I'm not going to go through the beginning because we've done that before. And the first part is I'll just review very, very quickly. It's about, it starts with the command to light the menorah, and so the question is, why is it start with that command? And because in the previous parsha we learned of all of the princes bringing their gift to the tabernacle for the dedication, and lo and behold, tribe Levi was not part of that. Aaron felt bad that his tribe wasn't part of that, and he didn't bring anything, so Hashem said, no, lighting the candles is more important than anything else. Fine. And so the Ramban says, what are you talking about? The lighting of the candles, that's just under the mitzvah. The princes brought it because they wanted to show their love for Hashem. By doing a mitzvah, well, how is it any different than bringing the korban tamid or any other sacrifice or offering that was being brought? So Ramban wants to argue that lighting the menorah, the lighting of the menorah, the perpetual lighting, is referring to the Hanukkah licht, which the Maccabees would light many hundreds of years, centuries later, millennia later, and the result was still doing that today. That's the beginning. Then Then we hear of how the Levites were separated from the people, all because the firstborn were part of the golden calf, and so they lost their firstborn rights and went to Levi. And now we find that the Levi were inaugurated into their system, in their place, and and so on and so forth. Now we're going to start in the third Aliyah, and here's an interesting thing. We're talking about Pesach Sheni. What happens when a person was spiritually unfit because he dealt with in this case, the people who were dealt with a dead body, but let's say somebody wasn't there on time for the 14th day of Nisan to bring their Korban Pesach, their Passover offering, Pascal offering. So what happens? That's really what's going on. I mean, that's what's starting here. So if you look at his notes, chapter 9, it says the Pesach offering in the wilderness. So it says, the year after the Exodus, Hashem commanded Israel to bring the Pesach offering in its appointed time, the 14th of Nisan, the first month of the year. Since the book of Numbers began with the events of the second month, this chapter is clearly out of chronological order. And indeed, the sages use it as a proof that the order of the Torah is not necessarily chronological. In such cases, however, one must seek to understand why the Torah preferred to list an event after or before it actually occurred. Surely the sages do not mean to say that the order of the Torah is purely random. So Rashi, citing the sages, notes that this was the only Pesach offering that Israel brought throughout the 40 years in the wilderness, and this is indicative of the nation's disgrace in not being worthy to enter Eretz Yisrael immediately, when they would have been able to observe this commandment annually, in order not to accentuate the failure of the people. God chose not to begin the Torah with it. Had the people not been specifically commanded to bring the Pesach offering that year, they would not have been able to do so, because the commandment was not to go into effect until the nation arrived in Israel. Alternatively, parents of uncircumcised children are forbidden to offer the sacrifice, and for medical reasons, it was dangerous to circumcise babies in the wilderness because the north wind wasn't blowing, the wind that heals them. Nevertheless, it was considered shameful that they could not bring the offering all those 40 years, because it was their sin of heeding the spies that prevented them from entering the land during the second year of the Exodus. Ramban comments that this book concentrates mainly on the commandments and experiences that were pertinent to the years the nation spent in the wilderness. Consequently, it begins by completing the subject of the tabernacle and the people's relationship to it, for it was the national focal point during that period. Thus, it's logical that the account of the Pesach offering would be deferred until now. So that's his reason. Everybody's giving reason for why it's out of order. So I'm sorry, this isn't Pesach Sheni yet. This is going to come. First we have to go through Pesach, then we'll come to Pesach Sheni. So it says, starting with 1. By the Hashem of Moshe, so Hashem spoke to Moshe, B'midbar Sinai, in the wilderness of Sinai, B'sana Shenit, in the second year, the Seitam Yeshashayim, from the going out from Egypt, B'chodesh Rishon, on the first month, saying, Yivayasu b'nei Yisrael el Pasuk Modo, that the Jews should make they should do the Paschal offering in its time. And Rashi says, even if it's on Shabbat, they had to do it, but Moado, that's why it says in this time, Tuma, even if they were in Tuma, they should do it. Okay, and everybody should do it. Fine. On the 14th day of this month, Bein Arbaim, between the evening, so that means from the 6th hour on, right, when you can do Mincha. You should make it in this time, like all of the statutes, the judgments, you will do it. So Rashi says, what does it mean? With all its statutes, these are the mitzvot, that the commands that have to do with the body, the sheep's body. Namely, it has to be a complete, a whole goat, and it has to be a male of 1 year old. Okay, so it has to be no blemishes. That's what it means, a complete. Okay, and then also like all these laws, these are the mitzvot that are on the body from another place. For example, 7 days you have to for the matzah, and then you have to do biur chametz, removing the chametz, and that's it. Okay, fine. Then it says, is that where it was? Yeah. So if I had been Moshe, so Moshe spoke to Bnei Yisrael, so the Pesach, to make the Pesach, and what it means is Matam Lomar, Halo Kavar Ne'emar, Moshe. It already was come to teach, for after all, it already said that Moshe spoke all the holidays of Hashem, but rather what's it come to tell us? Kishama Parsha Modim, when he heard the section about the holidays that were said at Sinai, he said them. And now that you have to actually do that, so he repeats it. So when you're learning halacha, you can learn halacha all year long, right? But when it comes to the actual moment, that's when you review the laws. Why? So that they will be fresh in your mind. So the Torah is telling us a very important thing. That's why it says that 30 days before the festival, we should review the laws. Every time. That way you know what's going on. You know how to make the matzah. You know how to clean the house. You know what you can't have. You know what you can have. So on and so forth. As opposed to people who never review, but they just go by what they remember from the previous year, which people's minds will play tricks on them many times. And they'll forget. They'll call up the last second. Can we do this? Can we do that? Well, if you would have learned the laws 30 days before, they would all be sharp in your mind. You wouldn't have to ask those elementary questions. There may be other questions you have to ask, but not the elementary ones you should be able to answer. So that's why he says it again. That's why Moshe spoke to Ben Israel to make the Pesach offering. The Pesach, and they did. They made the Pesach offering, and Barishon on the first of the 14th day of the month of the between the evenings and Har Sinai, in the wilderness of Sinai. Like all that Hashem commanded Moshe, so Bnei Israel did that. Okay, so now here we go. That was Pesach. Now what happens? They were men that were made tamei because of a man, which means they were the Chevra Kadisha, the Holy Society. There was somebody who died. They had to bury them. They became tamei. They became spiritually impure. Fine. What happens? and as a result of them being spiritually impure, because they could not bring the Passover offering on the proper day. Okay, Vayikravu, and so they approached Lifnei Moshe, Lifnei Aharon, before Moshe and before Aharon on that day. Here they decided, we are in trouble. We were supposed to bring the Korban Pesach, and if you don't bring the Korban Pesach, you have problems. You get karas, you get spiritual kara from the Jewish people, but they are tamei l'nefesh, so they have to know what to do. So they come before Moshe and Aaron. So the Rashi says, wait a second. He brings down it's a Gemara. It says, why did he come to both Moshe and Aaron? Who should they have come to?
Aaron.
Why Aaron?
High priest.
But who's the teacher? Moshe's the teacher. Moshe's the rabbi. If I go to the rabbi. I don't go to the assistant rabbi.
Right. Wasn't Aaron and the Kohanim in charge of sprinkling ash in order to purify people?
Yeah, but they're in charge of the korbanos. But I have to know what to do. I didn't do something that's already done. Now I have to know if I can make it up or what I should do. Can you sprinkle me? What should I do now? So they want to come to Moshe, but they came before Moshe and Aaron. So Rashi explains, both of them were learning together. So that's why they came to both. They really came to Moshe. It happened to be that Aaron was there learning. Okay, it's good. But it's not, it wasn't, they were trying to get, I'll go to Moshe. If Moshe can't answer me, then I'll go to Aaron. Aaron would know. If Moshe doesn't know, Aaron's not going to know. Okay? Like I said, and they didn't come to say that he's asking one after the other because the Moshe doesn't know. Where's Aaron supposed to know? Moshe is the teacher. So what happens? They come before Moshe and Aaron in the base medrash. V'yomru, and they say, Ha'anish mehema elav. These men say to him, and again it's not aleihem. Interestingly, they came to one. So you would have thought if they were addressing both of them that they would say aleihem. They asked to both of them, but they didn't. They're only talking to Moshe. They came from Moshe. So that's why it's elav. They spoke to him. By the way, that's what my point would be, what I was talking about before. If you understand the Hebrew, which is what people don't get every time, then you understand the problems in the text. Okay? So they said, we are tamei because of a man. Like I said, we took care of a dead person. We buried them. Lama nigara. Why should we lose out? Why should we be? How do they say it? Why should we? Where is it? Why should we be diminished? Okay, lose out. Levilti hakriv et korban Hashem, and not be able to bring the korban of Hashem b'modo in its proper time. B'toch b'nei Israel, amongst b'nei Israel. Why should we? We're doing a mitzvah, and it says Rashi explains. Amar lehem ein kadshim karevim v'tuma. We know that the kadshim, the Pesach offering would be considered kadshim, that holy sacrifice. We know we're not supposed to bring it in tuma. So amrulo, they said to him, Yizrok hadam aleinu, sprinkle blood upon us. B'kohanim toharim, that the pure kohanim sprinkle blood upon us. V'yochal basar l'tmeim, and then we can. It should be toharim. Then the meat can be given to the toharim, to the pure people who are spiritually pure. Amalehem. So Moshe doesn't answer them. He says, well, as we'll see, Imdu v'eshma'a. Stand here and I will listen. This is going to be his answer. Stand here and I'm going to listen. So Rashi comments, Ketalmid amuftach l'shmo mepi rabba. He was like a student who was certain that he was going to be able to listen to the mouth of his master. In other words, he's going to be able to get the answer. You asked me a question, so who is Moshe's Rebbe? Rabban Shalom, the master of the universe. So he says, wait here, I'm going to ask. Now, if you would come to me and you would ask me a question, and I say, wait a second, let me ask, I'm calling one of my other rabbis. I don't get to call the big boss of the world and say, hey, Rabban Shalom, I have a question. Travis wants to know A, B, and C. Oh, let me tell them. Okay, the hotline, it's he had a hotline to God. It's beautiful. He had, what?
Very casual.
Right, he got a red phone. That's it. The red phone. Hashem, I have a question. Okay. Actually, it's wireless. So we're the first wireless.
Before its time.
Right.
Tablets too.
What?
And tablets too.
And
Tablets too.
tablets, right? There you go. Tablets and wireless. Okay. And that's why they say Shekol Zaman Shaya Rotze. Every time that he wanted, he could talk with the divine presence. So now, I'm sorry, I missed one thing. It says, happy is the woman who gave birth to such a person that anytime he wanted, he could speak with the divine presence. And he's now Rashi, and the Gemara, again, I'm using Rashi, but he's bringing down everything. He says, really, this parsha, this section, was fit to be said through Moshe by himself. So it's one of the halacha, one of the laws. You would think that would be done through Moshe himself, but like the rest of the Torah. But what happens? But the reason that it was taught via them was because they really wanted to fulfill the mitzvah. So since somebody wants to really fulfill the mitzvah, the expression is you roll the merit on those who are meritorious. So yeah. Say it again.
The context of why they were doing it, wasn't that because they were afraid of Karas? It wasn't the way if you read between the lines, it's more like we don't want to die.
No. They knew. They knew. Here, I'll give you it right here. It's he says it here, I think. Here it says right in number 7. Though they did not question the fact that contaminated people are forbidden to bring the Pesach offering, they thought that an exception should be made for them, as noted above. The contamination was not only not their own fault, but was required of them. They knew that as people were tamei, they could not bring the korban, but they wanted to bring the korban. So they wanted to be part of it. So they're saying, "Let's figure this out."
So they weren't coming in and saying, "What do we do in general?"
Right.
It's, how do we do it?
How do we join? How do we join the festivities here? Because they really want to be part of it. It wasn't how many of us, when we are freed from something, say, but I really want to be obligated, please help me. Most of us just say, okay, thank you very much for the Torah, for the exemption, and I'll be more happy to go home. Here he says here, again, 6-14, I'll read it very quickly. I think we read most of it. Oh no, we didn't, okay. So he says, a group of people were ineligible to bring the offering because they were contaminated. Having an intense desire to participate in the great spiritual experience, they appealed to Moshe. In recognition of their nobility, God made them the agents through whom he revealed the new law of Pesach Sheni, the second Pesach offering, which would be brought a month after the appointed time for the Pesach. The normal course of the Torah is to give the commandments through Moshe, rather than the initiative, we just read this, rather than the initiative of others, but because of the sincere desire of these people for spiritual elevation, Hashem gave them the honor of bringing bringing about the giving of this new commandment. That's from the Sifri. The second Pesach differs from the first in that there is no festival associated with it, even for those bringing the offering. Furthermore, although they may not eat leavened bread with the offering, they may possess and eat chametz on the day they bring it. So even if you would bring that Pesach offering, and you have to bring it with your chametz, with your matzah, the rest of the day you could have had bread all day long. Wouldn't do me anything. The Talmud has 3 versions of those who these contaminated people were. One says they were the bearers of the coffin of Yosef, bringing his remains to Eretz Yisrael for burial, or Mishael or El Shifan, who dealt with the bodies of Nadav and Avihu, or men who had come upon an unidentified corpse and fulfilled the commandment of burying it. They became ineligible to bring the offering because they were engaged performing a mitzvah. Consequently, Sforno comments that they complained to Moshe that a mitzvah should bring another mitzvah in its wake and not deprive someone of the opportunity to perform one. That's right. We say that in Pirkei Avot, mitzvah goreret mitzvah. One mitzvah brings all another. When we ever say mitzvah We don't say that the mitzvah brings you to an avera. Okay, so that's why they were saying this. Okay, they wanted to know what to do, and fine. So what happens? And so again, Vayomer Aleim Moshe said to them, Imdu v'eshma, stand here and I will listen. Ma'asav Hashem lachem, what Hashem commands you to do. So now next part. Vayedaber Hashem Moshe lemor. Now we have the laws of Pesach Sheni. So Hashem says to Moshe, saying, Dabir b'nei Israel, speak to b'nei Israel lemor, saying, Each ki yeh tamil nefesh. If a man becomes tameh to a soul, in other words, again, he's dealing with a human corpse, o b'derech richoka lechem, or it's a long distance for you. Now here, if you look above the hay, you will see a dot in the word richoka. That's why there's an asterisk there. And it says there's a dot above the hay. So that hay tells you, something is going on there. So Rashi says in the Code of Love, Lamar lo sherechoka vadai. It doesn't really mean that they were far away. They were just outside the door. Kol zman shechita, all the time of the offering. So in other words, they were close, they just didn't come for whatever reason. So Pesach Sheni, matzah, v'chametz imo v'bayit. And then, so on the second one, on the Pesach Sheni, like we just read, you could have matzah and chametz with them in the house. And Yom Shem Yom Tov, and it's not the Yom Tov for him. The Yisur chametz einimo b'achilato. The only thing you can't do is have chametz with the Pesach offering. So he also brings down number 10, when it says on a distant road. Halachically, this means that from sunrise to the 14th, the person is too far away to arrive to the temple by noon, when the Pesach offering service is about to begin. The sages define this distance as 15 mil, or 30,000 cubits, which is between 8.5 to 11.3 miles. Now, he's going with the Gemara Pesachim. Because Rashi goes even further to say that it's just outside of the Azara, so which is very close proximity. So it's just a matter of, did I get there in time or didn't I get there in time? What helped me up? Is Pesach Sheni only for those who were held back by some reason, or is it even if I did it on purpose that I get to do it? That's the question.
So can you intend to Pesach Sheni instead of Pesach?
Correct. I was a stubborn guy. I didn't want to do it. I decided I don't need to do it this year. Not that I was going for Pesach Sheni, by the way. I just didn't want to do it. I said, forget it. I'm going to wake up late today. I'm going to pass it by. It's all last year. I don't do it this year. And so then you do tshuva. So if I do tshuva, so is that Pesach Sheni for me too, or is it not for me? Did I lose it out? So that's why you have a hay. That's why the dots over the hay. Does it really mean a far distance, namely 15 mil, which I wouldn't get there in time, or is it not so far? There's an argument about that. It's an interesting argument. Yeah.
So what about the case where you say?
Say again.
What about the case where somebody might say it's more convenient for me to do it on whatever day Pesach Sheni falls on, and I'll just do it then. Is that
so? That would the case of somebody saying I'll wait for Pesach Sheni. Besides it being more convenient, it's I don't have to clean my house.
Right.
Right. So that's what I'm going to go on with the cruise, and I'll be back in time. So again, that would be the same thing, that he's doing it lahachis, he's doing it on purpose. So that would be the argument. Do I have is Pesach Sheni a makeup holiday that I can do that? Or is it only if I was really stopped by something else? So that's the argument. And depending on which side of the argument you take would determine whether or not you're going to bring the Pesach offering. Since we don't deal with that today at all. Oh, really? We don't. So it's not something that's been adjudicated that I would know offhand to say what we do. Like I said, I know there's an argument about it. It's a big argument between Rashi and the Ramban, but it's what we actually would do would be determined. Eshma, Hindu ve'eshma, as I would say. Stand and we'll have to hear from God what he really wants. It was brought down in the Gemara Pesachim, but I don't know if they ever ruled.
Okay.
So you'd have to. It would probably be. You know who would probably do it? The Aruch HaShulchan wrote something for the times of Mashiach, so he may have it written there. We don't have it here. It's the last two editions that nobody seems to have. I've seen it, but I'm not sure when he wrote it or why it's printed in his name. I don't know if he wrote it, but it's that would be the place to look if I was going to look anywhere. Or the Rambam. You look in the Hilchot Rambam. I mean, maybe he talks about it too. He also would seemingly talk about that sort of thing, but I think he would probably go with no, you couldn't do it because you did it on purpose.
Right.
I'm guessing that he would go with that side of the argument, just knowing how he normally goes. But I'm not sure. That was a total guess on my part. So if anybody out there on YouTube land wants to yell at me, please don't. Just look it up.
I'm sure if it ever becomes a problem in the future, we'll be in a position to know. So.
Yeah, no. Once Mashiach comes, it's done.
Bring Korban again to the temple. We'll have rules by then.
God willing, tomorrow the temples are going to be built. It's getting a little late tonight. It's already nighttime in Israel, so it's morning actually. What time is it right now? It's 8:00 here, so 7 hours later. Okay, so it's very late right now. So you go, okay, come to 9:00 in the morning. By the time he gets up, the Mashiach will be here. Okay, so he says, Lo Yash. But on the second month, on the 14th day of that month, again the same directions, same time zone, from noon on. You should do it. You shall make it. Al matzot morim yachlu, and again, the Pesach offering must be eaten with the matzah and the bitter herbs. Like we're saying, though, you don't have to clean the house. It's not a matter of that. You could have, you don't have to sell your chametz. It's a one-day event. By the way, the remnant of Pesach Sheni today is we don't say tachanun, we don't say for grace, and people have matzah on the day. They will have some people, everybody. Well, eat matzah on that day is a remembrance of that. It's not a halacha that you have to do it. And even in these days, it wouldn't be a halacha that you had to, because if I already did Pesach the first time, in the proper time, I wouldn't do it this point in time anyway. But I notice that some people, the Hasidim normally, will have matzah on that day too. Again, they'll have, just fulfill the mitzvah, quote unquote mitzvah. He says, "Lo yashim mimenu ad boker," you should not leave any of it over till the morning, just like the regular Pesach offering. V'yetzem lo yishbaro, and also you shouldn't break its bone. K'chol chukat Pesach, like all the statutes of the Passover offering, yasu too. Those same restrictions apply on this particular day. Okay, and then it says now v'ya'ish, and of a person ashehu tahor, that was tahor, that was spiritually clean. And he was not on the way. And he decides not to do the Pesach offering. His soul will be cut off from the Jewish people. Because he did not bring the korban of Hashem in his proper time. This man is carrying that sin. So it seems to be quite clear that if the person is not there, and he could have brought it, he decided he didn't want to, he would be cut off. So now, again, the question would come up, let's see, he does teshuvah, could he bring in the second one and save himself? That it doesn't say. It just says, if he didn't do it, and he was able to, but he decided not to, so he gets karas. He gets cut off from the Jewish people. Okay. And then we go to the last line of that. So it's Ki Yagori Chemgir, when a proselyte will live with you, notice he joins the Jewish people. So Vyasa Pesach Hashem, and he will make the Pesach offering to Hashem, Kechukat Pesach Uchamishpato, just like the statutes of the Pesach and its laws. Kenya says, so will he do it. Chuka achat hiyeh lachem. There will be one statute for all of you, for the ger, the ezra ha'aretz, for the stranger or for the proselyte, and for the inhabitant of the land. And what does this mean? This means Rashi says, Yechol kol megayir yaseh pesach miyad. You would think, one may think that a person who converts immediately has to bring the Pesach offering. You think, okay, he's joined us up, so you have to catch up for all the times you miss, I guess. So Talmud Loma Chuka'acha, so therefore you say, no, there's only one statute. Elakach mashman. So this is the implication. Chiyagor idchem ger. When the ger comes to live with you, when va'ed la'asur the Pesach in chaverav, the time comes to make the Passover offering with his friend, kechuka uchamishpat yaseh. That's when you do it in the proper way that you should do it. In other words, one time, you don't do it more than one time, and you bring it in its proper time. So, and even though that you weren't part of the Exodus, once you join up, since we all weren't really Jews until Sinai, so therefore you are under the umbrella of Abraham, and that's why you're part of us. Okay, fine. So now we go into, that's Pesach Sheni. Now we go into the fourth Aliyah, and we're going to see how the camps used to be. We already set the camps up. Now we have to learn how we're going to travel. Okay, how do we know when to travel? The camps have to know. So it says, V'yom hakim et Mishkan. So in the time that the Mishkan was erected, Kisa ha'anan et Mishkan, the cloud covered the Mishkan, Edut, for the tent of meeting. Ube'erev, and at night, al Mishkan kamara eish ad boker. And at night, the cloud would be like a fiery cloud over the Mishkan until the morning. And okay, so he gives an introduction there. No. Okay. Oh, so it says in 15. The Torah reverts to its account of the Israelites' travels, the procedures pertaining to them. The tabernacle was a tent for the testimony. Tabernacle structure was a shelter for the tablets of the Ten Commandments. Alternatively, the verse gives the location of the cloud, saying that it covered only the part of the tabernacle that housed the tablets. Okay. So it says, Kain tamid. This was how it always was. That the cloud would cover it during the day, Umara Eish Laila, and it would be a pillory, an appearance of fire at night. According to when the cloud would go up from the tent, and afterwards, the Jews would travel. That's how we knew. The cloud would lift up, and the place where the cloud would rest, that was the stop sign. So the Bnei Israel would stop there. Al pi Hashem, through Hashem's command, Yesu Bnei Israel would travel. Al pi Hashem yachanu, and via Hashem's command they would camp. Kol yemei asher yishkon ha'enan al mishkan yachanu. All the days that the cloud would rest on the Mishkan, they rested. So you have a problem there. You just told me when the cloud lifted up, what would happen? They pack and they leave. Okay? And when it settles, so then they stop. Then we say, oh, no, so now God says to go. Well, which is it? Is it God or the cloud? Or do you need two signs? Or do you need three signs? How many signs do you need? Well, when you see the cloud lifting up, you don't know, oh, it's time to go. You need to be woken up by Hashem. Okay, wake up a little, kindle. We have to go now. So what's going on there? And so Rashi says, where is it? Al pi Hashem Yisrael, sheninu b'melechet Mishkan. We learned from the works having to do with the Mishkan. Kevan shal Yisrael knows him. When the Jews were traveling, that the cloud would double up, as it were, and it would go in front of Yehuda, come in Korah, like a wall. Tiku, actually like a ceiling, sorry. Tiku veheriyu tiku. So they would do a tekiah, teruah, and a tekiah. Tekiah is a long blast, teruah is either 3 or 7, or whatever it's going to be, and then another tekiah. Lefi lo haya mahalech, and they would not start walking out Ad Moshe Omer, until Moshe said, Kuma Hashem, get Hashem rise up. Okay, like we say when we're opening the Torah. So, yeah, I just lost my place. And that's when they would travel. And then Al Pi Hashem Yachanu, and the same thing, via God's command, they would rest. Again, so that since the Jews were camping, so the pillar of cloud would be like a standing there, and at Bnei Yehuda, Kimin Sukkah, like a sukkah. V'lo haya nifrash ad shemoshe omer shuv Hashem, and it wouldn't separate until Moshe said, "Return Hashem," and so on and so forth. Omer al pi Hashem biyad Moshe. That's why it says they traveled al pi Moshe, al pi Hashem, via the command of Hashem and by the hand of Moshe. So really, we have three signs that we're looking for. You're looking for the cloud getting up, the command of Hashem, and thus the trumpets are blowing, and Moshe is saying, head him up, move him out. That's what you need. You have to have all those things, and that's how they would know to travel. Okay, and then it goes, Varech Ananam Mishkan, Yamim Rabim. So when the cloud remained on the Mishkan for many days, so the Bnei Yisrael kept their charge and they did not travel. In other words, it could have been a lousy area that they were in, but as long as Hashem told them they shouldn't go, they didn't go. That's how it was. And then he says, now we're going to go through some times here. And there were times that it was a couple of days or a number of days on the Mishkan. The cloud was the number of days on the Mishkan. Al Pi Hashem Yachanu, again, via Hashem's command they traveled. Via Al Pi Hashem Yisau, and they camped. Via Al Pi Hashem Yisau, and via Hashem's command they traveled. Via Shishiyana Me'erev HaBoker, and sometimes the cloud was on the camp from evening till night, and then the cloud would go off, and that's when they would travel. In other words, very small time. Here you have to think, they have to break down the camp, and they have to travel. So what would be better for you? If you're moving, so you move from one place to the other, it gets settled. Okay, I have to put up the Mishkan and get everything done, right? So I'm hoping that I don't have to leave tomorrow. I really want to stick around because it's a lot of work to put everything up, to put everything down. It's a lot of work. But what we're seeing here is no matter what happened, if they were a couple of days, if a few days, a year, and now if it just overnight, nobody complained. They just kept doing it. Whatever Hashem wanted, they were doing. Okay? And that's why it's, and then it goes, or Yamayim, or 2 days, or Chodesh, or a month, or Yamim, or a year. V'harech ha'anan al Mishkan, Mishkan alav, as long as the cloud rested on, dwelt upon the Mishkan, Yachnu ben Israel, V'leisah b'nei Israel encamped there, and they did not travel. V'halot, but once it went up, Yisau, they traveled. Al Pi Hashem Yachanu. As according to Hashem's command, they traveled. Al Pi Hashem Yisau, via Hashem's command, Al Pi Hashem, they camped. Al Pi Hashem Yisau, and Al Pi by God's command, they traveled. Et Meshmeret Hashem Shemaru, Al Pi Hashem B'yad Moshe. They kept God's safeguard, okay, via the command of Moshe, Hashem, and by the hand of Moshe. So what you're seeing here is a tremendous praise for Bnei Israel. That again, you would think that they would have complained. After all, there's a whole book of complaints here. So you would think, okay, enough is enough. Let us stay where we are. Either that or bring us where we're going to go. Why all the setting up and breaking down, setting up, breaking down? It's torture. It really is. How many times who likes to move? Nobody likes to move. We like to be settled. So we are. Do you ever live out of a suitcase? That's what this is all about. It's living out of a suitcase. And you have to, and every time you have to make your bed and fold everything up. It's a pain in the neck. But here we're seeing that the people did not complain. That's one of the amazing things. They didn't complain about this. And they just waited, and they were just kept going. Like I said, it could be 2 days, it could be a year. Nothing. Whatever they had to do, they had to do. Okay, fine. And now we come to our next mitzvah. It says, I'm really going good, I'm coming a lot this time. But it says, so Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, make for yourself 2 trumpets. 2 silver trumpets. You shall hammer them out, make them hammered out. And they will be for you, by the way, it's not for anybody else. These are trumpets that are only going to be for Moshe. When Moshe dies, they get put into Kenisa, they get put away. They did not get passed down to Yehoshua or anybody else. These are only for Moshe. So the Mikra Yedah, you use them for calling the congregation, Lamasa the Machanot, and to cause the camp to travel. So we're going to have, is he going to say it? Yeah, okay, good. So, well, if you look at here, it says, make for yourself 2. And then we'll go through 3 to 7. These trumpets were, for Moshe, like I said, alone. He had the status of a king in whose honor trumpets are sounded. The trumpets were hidden just before Moshe's death, so even Joshua didn't get it. And then he says, to cause the camps to journey. Although the imminent breaking of the camp had been signaled by the clouds move from the tabernacle to the camp of Judah, the individual camps did not begin their journeys until the trumpet sounded. Now, it says, we're going to hear a whole bunch of things of how they have to sound it. So he says, when they sound a long blast, the tekiah and the trua of this passage were the same as the blasts of those named that are sounded on Rosh Hashanah. Tekiah was a long clear blast, the trumpet trua was a series of short staccato blasts. When both trumpets sounded tekiah, it signaled that the entire nation to assemble at the tabernacle. Such a blast from a single trumpet summoned the leaders. A true blast would signal the 3 tribe formations that were to begin the journey. The sages derive exegetially that, as in Rosh Hashanah, each trua was preceded and followed by a tekiah. So the first camp to embark was the one to the east, that of Judah. The next was the tribal group at the south of Reuven. Although the passage does not mention the formation of Ephraim and Dan, the sages derive the same procedure was followed for them. Verse 7 makes it clear that the trua was sounded only for journeys, but not for summons. What you're seeing is they're going to have different sounds for different things. It's going to be either 1 displacing or 2 displacing, and by the people hearing that, they'll know what the call to revelry is. Okay. So reverie, right? Not revelry. Revelry is making a party. Reverie. What?
That's retreat.
Reverie is retreat?
Yeah, like break down, like move.
Yeah.
It's meant for retreat. But that's, whenever I look up reverie, it's the retreat sound.
Huh.
I don't know why.
Well,
and it also means like move camp, not necessarily run away.
Oh yeah, okay. Sound the revelry. Reverie. I thought that was usually just getting together.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like sundown.
Like F Troop. I mean, I know it was from F Troops. I don't know. Okay. So it says, right? So Taku Bahan, you will blast them, but no adu elecha kol edah, and all of the congregation will assemble to you. El petach ol moed, to the opening of the tent. So the tent of the meeting. And Rashi explains. Say lecha, one means that it's from you. It has to be from you. I say lecha, you will make it and you will use it, and nobody else, like we said, to call the congregation. So it says that when you want to speak with the Sanhedrin and the rest of the nation, you will blast on these to assemble and you want to call them to assemble to you. Tikraim. You're going to call for them through the trumpets, and to make them travel again in the time that the camp is going out, you will blast, you'll give them a sign. So you find that it's when the people are traveling, it was three things that caused them to travel. Al pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, al pi Moshe, and al pi Chatzosho. Through the Hashem's divine command, through Moshe, and through the trumpets. Okay, and then it says, Taku behem v'shteihen, you're talking about you have to bless two of them. And that would be the sign that says the congregation should assemble. And then it says, the next verse is, V'im ba'achat yivka'u, if they blast via only through one, so then the Nesiim, the princes, will come to you, Rashi Alfei Israel, the heads of the thousands of Israel. So Rashi says, V'im ba'achat yivka'u, similarly Nesiim, that is a sign for only the princes to come, and V'av Heni Yadatan El Petach Al-Ma'ed, even they will assemble to the opening of the temple, the meeting. You say, okay, fine. And then it says, Ukatem Trua Shena, then you'll blast a second Trua, Vanasu Machanot, and that's when the camps will travel, Vachon and Teman, the ones traveling to the south, Trua Tiku B'Masayim, you will blast it for them to travel. And so that was, so the sign for traveling for the camps, that was Tekiah, Trua Tekiah. That's how Rashi explaining that. Fine. And then it says, when the congregation to assemble, to cause the congregation to assemble, you just do a blast, but you don't do a trua. You do a tekiah, but not a trua, the Torah says. And so Rashi explains the feature, Ayu Omer, Vayulechal the Mikra Eda, the Masa, the Machanot, since we already said that these trumpets would be used to call the congregation and to cause the camps to travel, Ma Mikra Eda Tokeh B'Shnei Kohanim B'Shteihem, just as the calling of the congregation was used with two Kohanim blasting, so Shneim Avataku Behen, as it says, they were blasting them. Af Mas Machanot B'Shteihem. Also the traveling of the campus for the two of them. So Yachol Ma Mas Machanot Kimari V'Tekeya Af Mikra Ha'eda Tekeya. So you would have thought that just as the traveling of the camps was with Tekiah, Trua, and Tekiah, also the calling of the congregation was Tekiah, Trua, Tekiah. Ume'ata in Chiluk. So if that's the case, there's no difference between the calling of the camp together or the call to travel. So Tama Lomar, that's why it says, when you want to assemble the camp, Lomar she'ein Trua, that you don't blast a Trua, you don't do the staccato one, the Mikra Edad. So Huadin, let's see, and all the more so for the princes. Hare Shisha is similar to Shloshtam. So here's the sign for all of them. If I want to call the congregation, I blast with two of them. Shal Nasim, I blast with one. And Zuvazu and Behem Trua, and both of them, I only do a tekiah, I don't do a trua. When it comes to wanting the camp to travel, so I have to use two trumpets, and I have to use tekiah, trua, tekiah. That's how you're going to know it. Understand? So everybody had to know what their call to duty was. Okay, and then B'nai Israel HaKohanim, and so for B'nai Israel, B'nai Aaron the Kohanim, Yikuv v'chatzashot, they will blow the trumpets. They were the ones who will be an everlasting statute for their generations. So we'll have to stop it there.